are just ahead, just ahead, just ahead.
So my last Peter's political perspective, I talked about how Donald Trump was commanding the military and to do military actions that save lives and protect Americans, but he's trying to stay under the radar, so he's letting Joe Biden claim credit for these military actions, and Joe Biden wants to claim credit for them, even though it makes him look bad in front of the bad guys. It makes him look good in front of all the world leaders who are expecting him to be able to control the military. But what I didn't have time to share with you guys is that Donald Trump Jr. commented twice on this Syria bombing attack. One was in his CPAC speech where he made a joke, and another comment was a tweet. And both of these comments that Donald Trump Jr. made contradict each other. So the question is, why do they contradict? And how do they relate to this big Syria bombing airstrike story? I'll explain all that. My name is Peterjhanna. This is Peter's political perspective. Peter's positive perspective? Peter's positive political perspective. Click on the subscription button on the bottom right corner of the screen so you can stay updated on when my videos get posted. So let's dive right into it. So Donald Trump Jr. and his CPAC speech made a joke about how, Biden was quick to go to war in Syria, right? Let me show you that clip.
Who would have thought that within 33 days we'd be bombing the Middle East again? I would have. Oh no, guys, come on, the military-industrial complex, I'm surprised it took them 33 days. I guess they waited till the first month, so they couldn't say that was part of the first 30, but it was only shortly thereafter where we started bombing the Middle East.
So in this clip, he's basically being like, we knew they were warmongers. We knew they would go bomb the Middle East. And in other words, he's condemning the attack and implying that obviously Biden was the one who ordered it, right? But then he tweeted this. In this tweet, there's mention about how Kamala Harris was not aware of this attack, which is odd. Kamala Harris is on Team Deep State, so why isn't she aware of this attack? That's extremely odd. And then in his tweet, he says, was Joe Biden informed? Which is adding to the mystery. If Kamala Harris didn't order the attack and Joe Biden didn't order the attack, who did? So in one statement by Donald Trump Jr., he's implying Joe Biden ordered the attack and he's condemning it as a bad attack. But then he contradicts himself and says, hey, was Joe Biden informed? Now some people may interpret this as, this is a joke about Biden's dementia and being like, was he informed of the attack? Maybe not, because he just has horrible memory, or he's just a puppet and they control him, so he's not informed of these things. So some people may have seen this tweet and be like, Donald Trump Jr., he's a jokester. He's joking about how Biden doesn't have good memory and he's not informed of decisions before they happen. But I don't think this one's a joke. I think Donald Trump Jr., when he asks questions like this that contradict a previous statement, he's giving Anons a clue for which we can dig. And I digged. And my analysis of this is, so just to recap the whole story, when there was an attack on Americans in Iraq, the military was ordered by Trump to retaliate by destroying the terrorists. They were located in Syria, destroy them and destroy their weapons. So there was this retaliatory attack, but Trump is trying to stay under the radar, so he's pretending like he didn't order the attack. And the Pentagon, which is also controlled by Trump, is also pretending that Biden ordered the attack. And Biden's going along with it and be like, yeah, I ordered the attack, because he wants to look like he controls the military. But we have Donald Trump Jr., who is both supporting my theory and debunking my theory at the same time. And this happens before with Team Trump. They'll say contradictory messages. So what's my analysis? Why is Donald Trump Jr. implying that Joe Biden made the attack, and then he's implying Joe Biden didn't make the attack? I'll tell you why. This is him talking in code, and they do this. Donald Trump Jr., General Flynn, and Donald Trump, they talk in code. Especially when you hear two contradictory statements from the same person, it's important to dig deep. And what I think is happening is this. When Donald Trump Jr. says, was Joe Biden informed? Because Kamala wasn't informed, he's giving us a hint that if they're not being informed about military decisions, it's because they're not commanding the military. It's Trump that's commanding the military. So Donald Trump Jr. is confirming that Trump is commanding the military. He's confirming it. He's saying, guys, Joe Biden wasn't informed of the attack. Neither was Kamala. Guess what that means? He's saying dig anons. What does that mean? If Joe Biden is not informed of this attack and Kamala wasn't, dig in, look into this Syria attack. And I looked into it, and it's a heroic action. No civilians, no innocent civilians died. It was just terrorists that died. It was just terrorists and some weapons that got destroyed in some buildings. And these terrorists attacked us first. So this was a heroic move. We know Biden doesn't do heroic moves. We know Trump does do heroic moves. So when Donald Trump Jr. says, Kamala wasn't aware of this, and look, Biden wasn't aware of it either. And if you take a close look at it, Donald Trump Jr. is saying, guys, pay attention to this attack. You realize it's a heroic action. In my opinion, Donald Trump Jr. is strongly implying that Trump is controlling the military. He's saying, guys, look, if neither the president or the vice president was aware of this attack that was supposedly ordered by the president, that means that my father controls the military. This is my interpretation of it. I think this is further confirmation, yet a third major confirmation from Team Trump that they control the military. So this is very exciting that Donald Trump Jr., in my opinion, is confirming that Trump controls the military by being like, guys, Joe Biden didn't order the attack, Kamala didn't order the attack. If they're not ordering attacks, if they're not calling the shots on the Pentagon military, guess who is? My father. That's how I interpret this. I could be wrong, but that is how I interpret it. But then there's the elephant in the room, right? So if Donald Trump Jr. is hinting to us and implying to us that Trump controls the military and Trump commanded this attack in Syria, this airstrike, then why is it in Donald Trump Jr.'s CPAC speech, why is he speaking negatively about this attack and blaming Biden for it? That kind of contradicts everything I'm saying, right? But remember, the Team Trump often says contradictory things. And for example, in Trump's speech, General Flynn contradicts himself. He's like, Trump has no plan. And then he's like, oh, Trump has a plan. And then Donald Trump Jr. was like, Donald Trump was like, I'm going to run in 2024. He implied it. And then he implied that he was going to be president sooner. So another contradiction. And here we have Donald Trump Jr. contradicting again, saying, Trump controls the military. Actually, Biden controls the military. So these contradictory statements are hints. And so my analysis of it is this. Donald Trump Jr. is giving a message to both audiences, the non-anons and the anons. Just like Trump was giving in his speech a message to the anons and the non-anons. The anons are the people who follow politics extremely closely, like me. And the non-anons are the people who support Trump but don't really dive so deep into it. So for the non-anons, the people who aren't really paying a lot of attention into politics, Donald Trump Jr. is saying like, look at Biden, he's a warmonger. Look, the military-industrial complex. Because remember, Donald Trump Jr.'s job was to make Biden look bad and to say like, oh, he did all these horrible things and he's a warmonger. He successfully makes Biden look bad. Even though this attack was actually heroic action, he's using this heroic action that his dad ordered to make Biden look bad. And honestly, even though it's basically a lie, or it's kind of a lie, it's not that far from the truth, because if Biden controlled the military-industrial complex would go to war. So it's stretching the truth. Is Biden a warmonger? Yes, Donald Trump Jr. is telling the truth about that. But this attack in the Middle East was actually ordered by Trump, Donald Trump Jr.'s father. So he's kind of stretching the truth there. But his job is to make everyone think that Biden is a horrible person and he was a warmonger, and which is true. So that's why he says he condemns this attack. He makes a joke about it. Oh, they took so long to attack, to start a war. I mean, they were so quick to attack, right? So Donald Trump Jr., why would he contradict himself? Why would he say, oh, Biden ordered this attack and it's a horrible attack? And then he would implies later on that Biden wasn't even aware of the attack. Why? Well, he's sending a message to the anons, and that message is the tweet. Oh, Biden wasn't informed and Kamala hit neither? What does that mean, guys? He's sending a message to anons saying, dig, dig, dig. And if you dig, you realize this is evidence Trump controls the military. But he's also sending a message to the non-anons. And what message is he sending to the non-anons? And it's his message in the CPAC speech. It's the joke about how Biden is a warmonger and it didn't take long for him to go attack people in the Middle East, right? So he's to the people who don't follow politics very closely, the non-Anons that are supporters of Trump. He's saying Biden's a warmonger. He's a warmonger. He was quick to attack the Middle East, and that's stretching the truth. Biden is a warmonger, but since Trump controls the military, it was Trump that ordered this attack, and it's a heroic attack. So it's like a white lie. Donald Trump Jr., his job is to make Biden look bad, and Biden is a warmonger. So that part was accurate, but to blame Biden for this attack that Donald Trump ordered is kind of stretching the truth. But it's okay, because all is fair in love and war, and Donald Trump Jr.'s job is to make Biden look bad. So for the people who don't do a lot of research in these type of things, like me, initially, I didn't know about the Syria attack. When I heard Donald Trump Jr. saying like, oh, Biden was quick to bomb the Middle East, I was like, yeah, Biden's a warmonger, he's evil. But when I looked more into it, I was like, hey, you're stretching the truth here. Donald Trump ordered that attack, not Biden. But you're right. Biden, if he controlled the military, would be a warmonger. So it's kind of true, kind of not true. But the point is, there's two things going on here. There's that part where he's giving a message to the Anons, being like, guys, my father controls the military. And then he's giving a message to the non-Anons, which is Biden's a warmonger. And since they don't know that Biden doesn't control the military, he's like, look, he's attacking people. He's bombing the Middle East. So he's pretending in his CPAC speech that Biden controls the military. And if Biden did, he would be a warmonger. So it's things aren't very simple. Like, you can't be like, oh, I watched the CPAC speech and he's condemning the Syria attack, so that means you're wrong, Peter. Well, look at it from a bigger perspective. What if he's giving two messages? One's to the Anons and one to the non-Anons, because he's contradicting himself. In the CPAC speech, he's saying, oh, Biden ordered this attack. But then in his tweet, he's saying, I don't think Biden ordered the attack. These contradictions are hints to Anons. I've seen this over and over again in the last 2 months. Team Trump is, when they say two contradictory things, this is about hinting to people about what's going on. So I could be wrong, but this is my perspective on it. This is my analysis on it. It makes sense to me. I'm trying to look at stuff not from like a narrow perspective, but a broader perspective, which is to acknowledge other possibilities might exist, that there's an information war going on, that Team Trump is giving hints and clues to the Anons so they can dig. So people like me can look into this and be like, hey, I have a different perspective on it, and I'm going to tell you guys what my perspective on it is. So I think that's the purpose that Donald Trump Jr. would make this tweet for like people who like me who will dig into this and then inform all the Anons and be like, guys, this is evidence that Trump controls the military. So I could be wrong, but I want to know what you guys think. Is my analysis good? Am I explaining it well? I hope I'm explaining it well. Donald Trump Jr. contradicted himself because he has two different messages for two different people. But generally speaking, I think the main message Donald Trump Jr. sent was that his father controls the military. Because if Kamala's not ordering the Pentagon and Biden isn't, then only one other person can be controlling the military, especially when you consider that these military actions are complete in alignment with Trump's agenda. So I just wanted to apologize that my previous Peter's political perspective is arriving late. They're supposed to be out by 9 a.m., but YouTube had to review it. Right now, as I speak, YouTube is still reviewing that video, and I can't release it until it's been reviewed by YouTube and given the go-ahead. So usually my videos will be available every morning at 9 a.m., but if there's some type of delay, it'll come out like 12 or maybe 3:30 after the review process goes through. So I apologize for that, but normally all my videos will be available at 9 a.m. And hopefully this one will go through quickly and be available at 9 a.m. tomorrow. All right, thank you so much for watching, guys. You guys have been amazing supporters. Share this video, and it definitely makes sense to share this in conjunction with the previous one because it's like part 1 and part 2. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for supporting me, and I hope this video keeps you informed and prepared.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So nice.